going to start filling in the blanks here. See how that goes. Alrighty, greetings. I don't know if anyone's here. Doesn't look like it. I can't see anything in the chat. Doesn't look like anyone's here at all. But anyway, I'm going to do the recording because I promised myself that I would. This is Terra Lumination. It is Sunday, 23rd of October, evening here in Las Vegas. This is the Astrodoodle for just now. Let me just check in with you guys personally. Greetings. I suppose in theory I should record these and upload them, but I prefer, it's just I've gone into a long-term habit now of doing almost everything live, even if there's nobody there. Because eventually it loads up just like a video and then the notifications go out, so, you know, sort of like the same thing. There's a whole other process that has to go on if I upload things. At least I have enough credibility here on the platform to be able to still go live and do uploads. And that's very recent because some of you know I've been shut down for quite a while. Anyway, I'm being extremely careful, and I have until December 29th, December 30th, after which point, with any luck, God willing, we'll have the green light again to keep the channel going. So I ask for your patience over the next few months. basically till next year. January 2023. We're going to have some more Capricorn Cancer axis activity at that time. But we still have a ways to go between now and then, and there's an awful lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and then. Thing is, most of that stuff is stuff that I can't really do on this channel anymore. So I'm trying to create a parallel world for Terra Lumination, and I think I have something figured out, but it's very early days. I've been talking with friends and subscribers like Path Traveler and Happy Go Lucky, because they're suggesting that I get back to basics and scrap all the stuff that gets me into trouble. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I made a video the other day. Hello, Nova Star. Hiya. Nice to see somebody here. Thank you very much. I made a little video the other day to celebrate some remote healing, some wonderful, delicious, premium grade remote healing from Mona and Oystein over in Norway. So that's a 6,000-mile journey of the healing power of love being transmitted through remote healing. Amazing stuff. Okay? And I'm here to tell the tale. Really, all you have to do is you can maybe go back and listen to those 2 videos. There was a breakdown in the live stream in the middle, so I had to reboot everything. But mostly it runs fairly well together. One video followed directly by another. And what I did is I tried to describe the actual physiological, psychological, emotional, heartfelt soul experience that I went through during the remote healing. You know, from every angle I could imagine. And of course, it's another way of trying to say thank you. And I put an email on there as well for Mona, in case anybody wants to reach out. I know this stuff. So anyway, I thought I'd come on here tonight and do a little Astrodoodle to get people prepped up. You're probably already feeling it, this intense pressure coming up for the Scorpio new moon eclipse in a couple of days. And then well, thank you. Thank you, Nova Star. Because to me, personally, these feel like they're going to be very significant eclipses for the United States. I'm already having to censor myself. It's crazy. So, before I give you an outline of the parallel world I'm thinking of creating, I just want to let you know that one of the reasons I've been out of action, I would have tried to be in action if I could, but I've been dealing with, the last 3 months have been very, very tough with health and healthcare. Some of you know that I'm a long-term cancer survivor, but then the cancer started coming back, so I had to get some pretty radical, intense, rapid action treatment. The doctors were fantastic. They still are. And so I'm on these new medications, and they're very strong, and they make me feel very kind of, I had to say it, fragile and weak. And then I had 2 months of intensive radiation therapy every day. And that makes me even more weak. And then there's about another 2 or 3 months of recovery from the radiation. I'm just going to go to the stage to write this down. Or maybe I won't, but anyway, apart from the more yucky side effects that I've had to endure, there's one one thing. This is something I knew, and I didn't even know I had this. I'm going to write it over here. There's a whole list of side effects that the doctors warned me about, and I have to be very, very careful. So, what I actually am dealing with, the biggest problem I have right now is not the cancer itself. I personally believe that I'm 100% cured, and I will be continue to be cancer-free for a long time to come. I have a lot of follow-up tests to do, but in the meantime, here's the real struggle that I've got. I'm going to have to use 2 lines to write it out. It's called That's what it's called. It's called orthostatic hypotension. And it's, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Novastar. Yeah, you would know. I guarantee you would know. Oh, God. Can we pull some cards? Oh, yeah, why not? I'll do a couple for you, Novastar. No worries. So I've got this thing going on right now called orthostatic hypotension. It's probably a mixture of, yeah, you already know. Wow. You know your stuff, Novastar. So it's low blood pressure, but it's like, I was shocked when they showed it to me. I couldn't believe it. I'm used to having either good blood pressure, normal, or a little bit low, or quite low, but this is pretty extreme, and it makes me very weak. And because you just don't have enough, it's like you just simply don't have enough oxygen or blood pressure zooming around your body to do anything, like thinking, walking, eating, just living your life. It's really, really hard. You can get very lightheaded and dizzy, and it's very weird. You're a nurse. Oh, you were. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, so we're going to do one mini reading. You don't have to do a donation or anything, and that's just, oh, you poor thing. Oh, Novastar, I'm so glad I came on tonight just for you. All right, tonight this is just for you. All right? And you're a Scorpio too. My goodness. So, let's see. I'm going to keep this very, very simple. Over here, we've got the tail edge of all the Libra energy, and we're starting the new Scorpio energy. The sun just moved into Scorpio. Venus is already in Scorpio. And very shortly, let's see, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the moon will be fully in Scorpio over here. And that is going to be the Scorpio new moon eclipse. Sometimes with every new moon, you can feel the whole energy fields going down, 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 down. And then as the new moon energy picks up steam and comes out, as the moon travels over here for the next week, you can feel this uplift of energy, and then it all peaks at the full moon, and then it descends again back into the new moon, which would be the Sagittarius new moon. But this one is a very special new moon, and it's going to be a very special full moon over here. So let's see. Yeah. So right now, luckily, it's very handy. It's very sweet, and I think we'll have this for a little, maybe a few days more longer, sort of. We've got this big fat air trine. It's a very loose air trine, and that really, really helps to keep open communications with the whole of planet Earth. Okay. Mars is in Gemini, and that's going to retrograde. Let me just check over here. See, Mars is going to retrograde in a few days anyway. That's over here right now. So there might be like a sort of a lull in energy for the whole of planet Earth. We're just coming out of the Saturn retrograde, and Saturn is coming direct. We've been out of Pluto retrograde now. Pluto's direct for several weeks now. And so we've still got Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune fully retrograde. But this is the tricky spot right here. This is the eclipse. Okay, you might recognize some of my notes here. And then that's going to crescendo into the full moon eclipse over here, November the 8th. Now, if you are an American citizen of voting age, that's a very, very, very important date. Okay, just letting you know. I dare not say anything more at this point. The Scorpio new moon eclipse, as far as I'm concerned, is... Hi, Path, I see you there. Thank you so much. The Scorpio new moon eclipse is going to be the start of yet another chapter of major global financial gyrations, upheaval, as we get deeper into the reality check of what's been going on for the last 115, 120 years, since 1913 and the start of the Federal Reserve. Okay, so this is the money axis. Okay, right over here. The South Node is here. The North Node is here. The North Node is urging planet Earth, all the people on Earth, to get ourselves together and to reclaim our sovereign selves when it comes to money, our real worth, our real money, by identifying our talents, our gifts, our resources, and corralling those things into something that is actually real and tangible and solid, rather than taking all of that and investing it over here and trusting in the world of other people's money. Things like the bankers, the big monster bankers, the central banks, the investment companies, the stock markets, and all of that stuff. Because a lot of that stuff is extremely unstable, okay? Yeah, Nova Star, I could write a lot of stuff about this. But anyway, so the big important dates to remember are 1913, 1944, 1971. Those are the big landmark dates when it comes to global finances, okay? And it's all pivoting around the United States, okay? Hello, Ivona. So the United States is in a very unique situation because it has the world's default currency, and it is in deep trouble, okay? And that is causing even more trouble for everyone else in the world that is not on the US dollar, that is not American. If we were able to do a private video right now and I had the energy, I would show you all sorts of stuff to prove this. But anyway, just take my word for it for now. The world is in deep trouble financially, okay? And it's going to continue, okay? It's a long-term, let's say, implosion that we're witnessing in very, very slow motion, okay? And this is going to trigger the next chapter. It's a very powerful trigger, okay? Uranus is over here conjuncting the North Node very, very tightly. So Uranus in Taurus is shaking up planet Earth. It's shaking up. It's trying to awaken planet Earth. It's trying to awaken humanity into understanding what's really going along. And you can't rely on ancient, obsolete status quo, the comfort of, let's say, the illusion of wealth. And instead, we've got to get back to actual wealth. Actual wealth is based on commodities. You know, I don't want to talk about it too much. Also, the really, really most valuable things are your relationships with home, and family, and your loved ones, your pets, the land, the animals, nature, in such a way that is very, very, very healthy and natural without being undermined or destroyed by the parties over here represented by OPM, other people's money, where they take your money and they play with it and they tell you that you're going to be rich, okay? And that's starting to come unglued very, very badly, okay? So there's going to be a big fat red line over here in 2 weeks, okay? I'm just letting you know in advance. You can watch the global financial headlines if you want at that time. Also over here with Saturn in Aquarius, now that Saturn is direct, you're probably noticing that a lot of characters on the world stage who've been trying to preach that they are here for humanity, to save humanity, to change humanity, that they are here to save us, you're discovering that it's all lies. And they're not working for we the people, they're working for themselves. And it's being outed. Saturn, the great teacher, the great taskmaster, the great karmic teacher, it's showing a lot of reality checks, very, very painful reality checks for the people who think they own and control the world. That's those folks over here. They're enjoying a bit of a sweet break at the moment, simply because of the aspects here, but they've had a bit of a bumpy ride recently, a lot of heavy exposure, going through the Libra sections that we had recently, a lot of very heavy red lines exposing the owners and rulers of planet Earth for their, let's say, shadowy kind of agendas and behavior. Nova Star, you're in Aquarius. Okay. So, Nova Star as an Aquarius, you're going to be experiencing things directly because of the Saturn, indirectly because of the square here. This is a very tough square. And you're going to feel another square in a few days, in a week or two. There's going to be another big fat red line over here, okay? As the sun squares off with Aquarius, okay? So it's good to know these things in advance. You're very, very strong psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. You must be, Nova Star, in order to be at this channel, okay? Well, humanity is waking up, but it's very, very slow, painful process, okay? Mars is going to go retrograde, like I said, very soon. So that's going to, let's say, take a little bit of the steam and the power out of the way humans can, let's say, express their energy. And it's going to start to challenge all the Neptune energy of deception, lies, and betrayal. This is going to be a long-term, ongoing, very nasty red line here for humanity. And then Jupiter is still retrograding, and it's going to go back into Pisces. It's going to conjoin over here. So you might as well make the best of your life while you can, because there's an awful lot of doo-doo on the way. It's very nice to enjoy this green fat triangle for now. This is a grand trine. I know it's helping me to stay able to communicate because I have so little energy to communicate at all. You've probably noticed I'm hardly on the channel at all. The beautiful thing about this, the beautiful thing about this is that it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. In this situation, it's always the perfect time. I have a beautiful song called The Perfect Time, but I don't have the ability to produce it right now. I wish I did. So this is perfect, and it's up to us how we deal with it. This is just another day in the evolution of humanity. Also with this aspect here, you've probably noticed that there's a tremendous amount of stuff happening on planet Earth itself. Things like the volcanoes, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, droughts, and some very explosive things happening with the economy, the food chains, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about it, okay? Nova Star, I am exhausted, okay? I'm extremely exhausted. I'm putting a brave face on it because I love doing this stuff, as you know, but basically I'm walking around. Well, I'm lucky compared to you right now, Nova Star, because I can still walk, all right? Cheers. Nova Star, is your paraplegia from the waist down? Anyway, so I just thought I'd mention that. So typically, in my experience, when we're going through lunar cycles, okay, every 28 days, oh, look at that, happy-go-lucky put something up. Look at that. My finger is close to cured. I had a massive rip in the nail, very, very uncomfortable. It kept ripping, so I had to just keep covering it up. Waist down, okay. Alright, so that's the Astrodoodle for today, and anybody can interpret it how they want. Let me do a little promotion for Tarot Lumination first, and then we're going to do a little mini reading for Nova Star, and then I'm going to wrap it up, okay? So, if anybody wants to help keeping the channel going, please donate directly through your PayPal to my email here, alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. Some of you know this very well already. alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. Okay? The other way you can do it, it's sort of another way of doing the same thing, is you can come over here. You can go to the tarotlumination.com website. Sometimes people prefer that thing. You can go to the donate page. You can find the orange donate button. You press the button, and that comes up with a payment processor. Very similar to just going direct to PayPal, because my donate button, everything I do, almost all my finances go through PayPal. So despite some of the issues with PayPal, I still love PayPal. So you can go to the donate button and you can swipe a card. There's an option, if you scroll through, there's an option where you can swipe a card. So you don't even have to have a PayPal account, you know. All you have to really do is have my email. Okay, let me go back over here. Where am I? Yeah, so those are ways to do it. Please don't do any super chats. I mean, I love getting them. They look fantastic on the screen and everything, but I'm not getting paid anymore. So I would have to have so much activity and so much renewed success on the channel to reactivate any payments. And so please, I ask for any donations, any and all donations, to go straight through the PayPal or the donation function, okay? Like I said, I love the super chats. YouTube takes a lot of it, but there's a lot of what I would call suppression on my channel at the moment, and it's impossible for me to, let's say, collect my wages. Anyway, so I'm trying to keep this all very, very short and sweet. You know how I like to ramble. I think what I'm going to do is just a fun reading for Nova Star, and we'll call it quits for the evening. Because this whole other parallel world that I'm trying to create, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, and I think I've got a blueprint kind of marked out. And then I will keep everybody update on the hows and whys, okay? Thank you, Nova Star, I see that. Please understand, I understand YouTube is very selfish in its own way, but it's also an incredible platform. It's a bigger search engine than the Google search itself, which is mind-boggling. Anyway, let's get over here to Nova Star. So Nova Star, if you have any issues, and you want to put it into one word, please type it on the screen very, very soon. Otherwise, I'll give you a blind reading. It's just going to be a little mini reading like I do in my normal bouncy, healthy, active 3-hour Sunday night lives. This is only going to be like 20 minutes or something. Okay, so let me go back to the stage. I'll keep this handy in case this becomes pertinent to your reading, all right? Let's put all this aside. Get it out of the way for now. And then we can sort that out after the show. All right, let's have a look here. So, what kind of messages do we have here for Nova Star? Aquarian Sun Nova Star. You know what? Let me just do a little flash of something. Hold on a second, Nova Star. I can do this without talking, I think. In my new parallel world, I've got it all set up, so I'm going to talk about all these kind of subjects here. These are all videos that I've got planned, okay? And they are, let's say, all the things that I can't really deal with anymore on my channel. I just can't risk it anymore. It's very weird too that almost every channel that I really, really like and that I really, truly respect in terms of like honesty, truth, facts, and information, courage, about the subject matters that are very interesting to me, all of them have been either blocked, striked, warned, deleted, and obscured and obstructed in some way or another. Basically because there are, like, say, ruling elites out there who are apparently scared of people like me. I mean, why would they bother? It's such a tiny channel. You know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I've got to learn how to do all this stuff. And there's a couple of, let's say, trailblazers who I truly admire, who are already going off into the parallel worlds of YouTube, okay? Nova Star subject. Will I keep in touch with my friends that I trust? Or will they betray me? Let's have a look. Okay, that's pretty precise. Okay, what messages do we have here tonight for the issue of trust regarding the friends of Nova Star? So, Nova Star, you've been here enough times, I'm pretty sure, where you know the format of my little Sunday night mini readings. I use my classic situational spread. It's my own little custom spread. It's like a diagnostic tool. It's like when you go to the auto tech shop and you say, oh, I got a problem. There's some lights flashing on my screen. And I don't know what's going on. And the technician says, okay, let's plug it into the diagnostics, okay? And then they read through the diagnostics and they can tell you what it is. And then once you know what the problem is, then they have a chance to fix it. So on my channel, the way I describe that is you've got to reveal it to heal it. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Path Traveler has a point. If the issue of trust is already in question, then you have an issue with trust. Ooh, that sounded very zen, didn't it? Wow. Thank you, Path Traveler. I feel like I stole your thunder. I stole your light there. Wow. Yes, my voice is very weak at the moment. And sometimes it feels like there's just not enough air going in and out of my lungs. And I can barely talk. Hey, Gregory. Nice to see you, man. I'm just doing this one mini reading as a fun courtesy. And that's about it. Thank you for understanding, Path. Okay, regarding the issue of trust with your friends that you trust. Oh, dear Nova Star. Let's have a look. So, it's my little situational spread. In a way, it's like I said, it's a diagnostic tool. It does seem to work like magic, and I've given up trying to figure out how and why, but it's basically, this is a tool that allows me to access higher frequencies of life in the world and everything. Oh, sorry, got a little bit choppy there. I don't do jumpers, flyers, reversals, or anything like that. Do you remember, does anybody remember the days where I was doing like 4 or 5 hour videos, and I was 40 videos a month, live streams on the weekend, love and relationship readings for 12 signs, and then spiritual journey readings for the 12 signs. It seems so long ago. It really isn't that long ago, but it feels like it. Alright, let's see what happens here. Okay, Nova Star? Thank you for trusting Terra Lumination. Here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at external influences. Now, we might want to point out the astrology right now, because as an Aquarius sun, in some ways you are under pressure, okay? With the new moon eclipse coming up, you're under pressure for sure from the square aspect, okay? When you have an angle like this, from Scorpio to Aquarius, that's going to show up soon as a big fat red line. And those are the stressful aspects. This is one here, this is one here that already exists, okay? And we can learn so much from these squares, okay? So don't be scared of them. So, the reason I'm saying the tension is there, because in very, very basic Western astrology, the squares are always like roughly 90 degrees apart from the next sign. So with Aquarius, that would be Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo. They are all 90 degrees from each other, okay? So what have we got here? A cup. Page of Cups. So what I'm sensing here is that in some ways you're quite vulnerable, okay? Because partly it's because of your own vulnerability, I think, because of your physical condition. And you might have had to, let's say, recondition your brain to compensate in such a way that would not be normal behavior for persons who are, let's say, physically completely functional. And so it's almost like you're on a learning curve, quite a steep learning curve. Doesn't matter how long you've been paraplegic, but you're still on a learning curve where there is so much innocence inside of you. And you've probably, as a professional nurse who ended up paraplegic, you probably have one of the classic characteristics of so many people who've come to this channel who are professional healers in some way, who basically gave too much. They are compassion junkies, and they just love the feeling of giving and sharing to the point where they can't help themselves, until the point where they fall apart and the nurse ends up becoming the patient, you know? I actually wrote a movie script about that very subject, and the movie is called Internal. It almost got funded in Hollywood, but sadly it didn't happen. Anyway, my feeling here is that you're, it's like, please be aware that you're quite vulnerable and you're quite innocent, and there's no shame in questioning the trust about these friends. because there might be situations that make you wonder whether you should trust them, okay? And that would make you question your own trust about yourself, like, wow, who do I trust? Who do I love? Who loves me? You know, what am I missing something? Am I having to recalibrate things? Because people who are not in your physical situation behave differently. Let's just face it, okay? And so what are you going to do? You have to recalibrate. And well, I guess what I was trying to say earlier is that as a professional caregiver, you're programmed to give out and put a lot more than you might, than a person who's not a professional caregiver, loaded up with compassion. Now, of course, there are caregivers who simply do it as a job and they don't have much compassion, and they're mostly there for a paycheck and they do it grudgingly, and then it's just their day job. But some folks kind of they love too much, they give too much. Hello, Heather. I know. So here's the situation. Let's go over here. So basically my feeling here is that you're vulnerable, whether you know it or not. And it's perfectly okay for you to question the issue of trust regarding these friends. And they might not be doing anything that is untrustworthy, but you might question it because they're behaving in certain ways that they do without any ill intent. But you might have felt it as ill intent because your perspective is inevitably different in how you might receive the energy from other people, unless it's very directly obvious, very deeply open, caring, loving intention towards you. Because, I hate to say this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. There are a lot of people who are very shallow. And the word love is interpreted in so many different ways. But love is as love does, as far as I'm concerned. Love is very much an active force. And it's literally about tuning into the healing power of love, allowing the healing power of love come into your body, mind, heart, and soul from up above, and then redirecting it in the most generous, kind, loving, effective way that is possible. And sometimes it's very hard to do. Love isn't always about like, oh, hello, how are you doing? Love you, bye. Do you see my point? I'm not trying to judge people because some people do love, and that's their expression of love. But they might not be aware that there's other layers, okay? And they're doing their best. They might genuinely love you from their perspective. They might genuinely trust you from their perspective, and you may genuinely trust them from... You may genuinely trust them from your perspective. I got myself all tongue-tied. But they might not know that they are operating in a way that is actually a little bit less than fully trustworthy, simply because they either have habits that have not been so challenged in the ways that yours have. You have to trust. You have to trust people more than some people would have to trust people, because if you don't trust people, you might have greater challenges in life ahead. So, for example, in your own self-care and in people who help care for you, you have to trust them, and it requires a very high degree of trust. And then when you're experiencing anything that is less than these very highest degrees of trust, it's a perfectly legitimate reason to have doubt, okay? Yeah, I see your point there, Nova Star. It's literally, that is the tagline for my screenplay. It's the nurse becomes the patient. Okay? It's quite a common story on this channel. Alright? Anyway, let's get back over here. What's the situation itself? King of Pentacles. Now, this feels odd to me, but it feels like it almost feels like you've done a good job of putting yourself in the strongest position that you can possibly be, and you've worked very hard to be there, and you need to maintain this posture, this position, and you cannot afford to be undermined, and so you are having to be exceptionally vigilant and strong and determined and regal in the King of Pentacles energy. The King of Pentacles did not come upon wealth with a silver spoon or just by magic. This is through lifetimes of hard-earned, let's say, genuine wealth, talents, abundance, and gifts. And if you feel that this is threatened in any way, because maybe you are trusting people with money, or you end up, let's say you have to trust people with money. You'd rather not, but in some ways you have to. But this is a global issue right now. There are millions, if not billions, of people who have been either trained or conditioned or sought out ways to deal with their physical life by entrusting other people's with their wealth, their talents, their gifts, their assets, okay? That's the Scottish in you. All right, I just got to check something. Stay there. All right, so stay there, Nova Star. I got to just check something about the cats. Okay, so give me a second here. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. All right, I'm back. Now, this is a very singular, strong, masculine energy, but it doesn't really matter about gender. If you feel this refers to a particularly very, very important male character in your life, then it might be good to take that into account, okay? But I'm feeling that this is much more to do with you yourself. I'm going to put this up closer so you can have a good, sweet view of this, okay? It's a beautiful, beautiful card. It's very majestic, okay? So, for example, I don't want to dig too deep here, but you mentioned friends that you could trust. Can you still trust them? And if you're questioning that, there must be some things or whatever, like kind of like what Path was saying, like there must be maybe some issues that made you consider their trustworthiness. It might be something to do with money and how they, let's say, you know, how love is as love does. They might express very strongly how, you know, you're good with us, we're good with you and all that. But if there's anything shady going on, especially regarding finances, you have every reason to be concerned. All right? Let's have a look. What's the challenge here? The Empress. Okay. All right, so this is a really powerful masculine energy. This is a really powerful feminine energy, okay? And this is very much to do with wealth and abundance. This is very much to do with wealth and abundance. So I'm trying to be very broad in my interpretations of wealth and abundance and health. And with this card, with this beautiful card of the Empress, in such a challenging position, you might feel like the big challenge is that your awesomeness is very, very vulnerable right now. You in your most beautiful, wonderful, gracious, feminine awesomeness is vulnerable to perhaps some kind of very, very subtle exploitation by people outside of you that are categorized as friends that have maybe exhibited behavior or actions that could be interpreted as less than trustworthy. In which case, let's say the Empress energy would include everything: your wealth, your money, your health, your general sense of extreme good fortune. You're probably, obviously, as a paraplegic, there must be a little part of you which is sad about your condition. But obviously, to be on this channel at all, in your situation, means you must have extreme strength deep down at the soul level, okay? So my feeling is that you might not want to admit it to yourself, but there's a part of you which is scared or concerned that you might be vulnerable, or you might be, you know how, this is going to sound awful, but you know how some people deliberately exploit the weak? They deliberately exploit people who are unable to fully defend and protect themselves. It's a very common practice. It happens all over the United States. There's huge healthcare, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security scams that go on all day, every day, all over the country. And some people's lives are ruined by these scams. And you might have, in your own way, you might have your own life, and you've created your own world of abundance in your own way. It doesn't mean you have to have 3 limos, your private jet, and gold bars lining your bathroom, or anything like that. But in terms of your health, wealth, and abundance, beauty, and natural comfort, you might feel very, very vulnerable. Okay? Understandably. Now, you wouldn't be here tonight. You wouldn't have been asking that question unless you had these concerns. So if I've touched on anything that's just even slightly close to the bone here, then don't take it personally. I'm just doing a reading. It's just the messages that are coming through to me. I'm just going to put it in there. I don't feel it personally, but I'm going to put it in simply because the cards are very strong male and female energy. If there's some kind of male-female energy interaction going on here that is being presented to you as one thing, but you're not fully trustworthy, and that it might be actually a little bit shady or disingenuous, okay? Just got to be very, very, very careful. Oh, what's this note? They got another thing coming. I worry about that, but I also like to act weaker than I am so I can protect myself, catch them off guard. Okay, that's a workable strategy. So how are we going to deal with this stuff going forward? Because it looks like there is a high degree of vulnerability here. Okay, so with the star card, these are all really big cards. Look at that. With the star card here, some people associate this with the Aquarius energy. With the star cards, like somebody has to be the water bearer. Someone has to do the trustworthy thing that is essential to life, that brings hope to life and light in people. Oh my gosh, there's an interruption here. Please, give me a second. Please, Nova Star, stay there. Alright, I'm coming back. There was a load of commotion here. Nothing to do with the show. So, Nova Star. Oh my god, it's so obvious. Duh. That's brilliant. How come I didn't spot that? Yeah, the way my feeling is the way forward here is that is like in general. This is kind of a personal thing here, Nova Star. It's almost like you're gonna have to be your own star of hope. You're gonna have to be your own, let's say, your own spirit guide through all of this. My feeling is I don't want to hurt or insult any of your friends, but please understand that all human beings are capable of breaching trust. All human beings are capable of pledging trust. Pledging trust. You can totally trust me, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then they break the trust. Okay? It happens. Even in the very highest levels of the banking world, where the word trust is absolutely fundamental to the institution of trusts and banking, there are people who breach the trust. There are people who deliberately exploit the weak and the naive, and they take the concept of trust and they package it and present it in such a ways that make them appear extremely trustworthy. And what they do is they suck in your energy, they exploit it, and before you even realize or figure it out how you've been exploited in your innocence, before you've even figured it out, they've already done the dirty deed. And so what I'm suggesting is it's almost like going back to your original notes, where you're going to have to be your own kind of secret guiding light here, and with a very sweet, generous, compassionate demeanor, I would say it's perfectly okay for you to continue to be on extreme high alert for any of your friends who are showing any signs of being untrustworthy. And that's because you are so incredibly vulnerable, okay? In which case, you have a very legitimate reason to be on guard all the time. Even when these friends are presenting themselves as totally trustworthy, it would be perfectly okay, and you wouldn't have to go home feeling guilty and shameful, like, oh my God, I'm such a horrible person, I don't trust my friends. Because, energy feeds on itself, okay? So, it's like, by questioning the trustworthiness of your friends, you are essentially protecting and defending yourself, your assets, your vulnerability, your beauty, your integrity as a woman, as a person, everything that you've fought for and worked for in life, using the energy, the very masculine energies of survival, and building your own, integrity in yourself. And because you are so potentially vulnerable, you have to be the bringer of hope to yourself. In other words, what's that? Was it Winston Churchill or some famous banker or something, or President Lincoln or something like that? I think it was. Anyway, there's an expression: trust, but verify. Okay? In a way, they are mutually exclusive terms. It's like saying, oh, I trust you, man, but can you show me the books, show me all the paperwork just to make sure that I can trust you? Oh, okay, fine. And then you have to trust that the paperwork and the books are perfect and they are legitimate. And then you might want to get a third-party appraisal, for example. So, for example, tonight, this reading here tonight is like getting a third-party appraisal of your situation. You have built a degree of trust with your friends, and your friends have built some kind of degree of trust, or have allowed you to build a degree of trust with them, so that there is a modicum of trust that is established. But something or some things have happened or are happening in such a way that makes you question their trustworthiness. Okay? And that's a very legitimate feeling to have. And that's about survival. I would never point the finger at you and say, oh my gosh, how can you expect your friends to trust you if you don't trust them? Okay, which is what we kind of touched on earlier, okay? So, it's kind of like what Pat is saying. Smile anyway. But make sure you keep your eyes open, ears, stay on very... you don't have to be hyper vigilant, but stay vigilant. And if you get into a situation where there's an obvious breach of trust, then you know where you stand. But if there's no obvious breach of trust, it's very, very important that you stay vigilant. And like Pat says, you become your own shining light of hope and let's say faith, okay, and trust. So you trust anyway, even though you might have reasons not to trust these so-called friends. Trust them anyway, but secretly inside of yourself, trust but verify. So if you want to be extra playful, it seems like you like to be playing games. I wouldn't push it too far to test them. I would just keep being you and trust. Keep trusting. Keep trusting until it's absolutely evident that there's no trust available coming to you, okay? So I hope that helps you. I hope I didn't get things too tangled up. You're very, very strong, okay, Noah Star? But you have very legitimate questions here. And it's actually really good that you came here tonight. I'm really glad that I came on tonight. But sorry, RSH, I can't handle it. I'm already tapped out. I'll show you what I'm showing you what I'm dealing with here. All right, so there's your little mini reading, okay, Nova Star? I can only do little tiny bits of stuff at a time. Rebecca, hi. Okay? This is what I'm dealing with right now, okay? It's called orthostatic hypotension. A lot of it is to do with side effects from my radiation therapy recently. And I didn't have any clue about how horrible this condition is because it's debilitating. It's really debilitating. And I tend to be kind of hyper by nature. So to have this, it's really tough on me. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Nova. I'm so glad you had the courage to ask. I hope you got something out of this reading and you can reinterpret it and massage it around a little bit so that it makes full sense for you. Okay? All right. I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to put the... let's see. Yeah. Thanks, Nova Star. Yeah, I explained how to do the donations. I'm probably going to have to do a drip feed of informing folks through YouTube about my new parallel world that's inevitably going to happen with this new moon eclipse in Scorpio. Okay? So I'm going to set those aside over here. This is my little stack of tools. I'm going to put this over here. This is the chart for today. We talked about this at the beginning of the video. Here's where we're coming into the Scorpio new moon. With any luck, God willing, I'll have a little bit of energy. I can do a tiny little new moon video. We'll see, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to wrap out. And Just hope we can get through the next, whatever, evening.